Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Hedera General Community Call. I'm Luke Forrest on the Developer Relations team here at Hashgraph, and I'll be your host today. We have two things lined up for you. First, a quick overview of the Hedera Incubator, what it is, and how builders can get involved. Then we'll spend the rest of our time with Michael Tinker for a live walkthrough of Lambdaplex, a decentralized trading platform built on Hedera. So to kick things off, I'll tell you a little bit about the incubator. So the incubator has run for 5 weeks, and this is the first version of the incubator that we've been running. We've had 9 teams that have been assigned mentors. We've had 15 mentors in total, including 4 of our partners over at Hashgraph Online, Headstarter, Hgraph, and Kabila. We've had over 800 signups, so the response has been incredible. And you can get involved too. And what the incubator does is it takes your team, puts them with a mentor, which is experienced in both business and the Hedera ecosystem, and they will help you get things started, whether that's through introductions to Hedera Ventures or potential council members. We help you identify your top priorities, partnerships, and optimizing your productivity to ensure you have the best go-to-market possible. So we'll put a link in the chat there for you to register your interest. And when we run the next incubator, someone will be in touch to help find you a mentor and help you through the process. We're also currently running the Hedera AI bounty as well. It's a 5-week bounty, and we're currently in week 5. So this is the last week to get involved for this iteration. There's $1,500 up for grabs, and what you'll need to do is use a Hedera policy agent using the Hedera Agent Kit hooks and policies repository, which will enable payments in HBAR or USDC. And that is just for the rest of this week, and there should be a QR code at the top of the screen for you to reach out and get involved. We're now going to bring our guest, Michael Tinker, the founder of Lambdaplex, and he's also a principal software engineer here at Hashgraph. Michael, welcome. Great to have you.
Thanks a lot, Luke. Yeah, thanks for covering the incubator. That's really exciting. I'm actually a co-founder. I've been working with Matthew DiLorenzo from previous Saucer Swap founder to now jumping into Lambdaplex, and more of a nights and weekends thing. My day job is very much with Hashgraph, but this has been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to be able to show people some of the things we've been playing with.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And I've heard a little bit about Lambdaplex, so I'm looking forward to sharing it with everyone. And so before the demo, what is Lambdaplex and what does it solve for traders on Hedera?
Well, Lambdaplex is a order book exchange, first and foremost. So there's a big contrast between automated market makers that you see on Uniswap or like the traditional Saucer Swap deployments. They've also recently launched an order book. But order books are nice because they give you more flexibility in how you manage risk. You, in an AMM, you have to deposit your assets in a contract, and you're exposed to price movements without really much ability to customize your risk exposure. With the latest Uniswaps, you can concentrate your position in certain price ranges, and you can do some things. But fundamentally, order books are more flexible and dynamic. So that's the single headline for Lambdaplex is it is an order book. The order flow is off-chain. We can dig more into that in the sense that you sign an intent. So you sign an intent saying, I want to trade Bitcoin at this price. I want to sell it at this price. And then there's a contract on chain that you've given an approval to that says, if you receive a signed intent from me to do something, you can use your approval from me to complete that trade. So that's the idea. You sign order intents off chain. Cryptographic signatures can't be forged. And then on chain, you've given approval to a contract that will use your off-chain signed intent to settle a trade on your behalf.
Incredible. And this is all on-chain on Hedera, so it's incredibly fast as well, isn't it? And I think the best way to understand Lambdaplex is to see it. So I believe you're going to walk us through Lambdaplex and give us a sort of a live demo.
Yes. Let's see. Am I sharing my screen?
There
This
we
is a
go.
test.
There we go. Yep.
Okay. So the important thing to notice here is this is a testnet deployment. So right now we are planning to go live on mainnet on Friday. Fingers crossed. Everything seems to be aligned up for that. But these are all fake tokens, fake money, fake bots on testnet. So I've connected here a testnet hashpack wallet. I think you can see this.
Yep.
And I'm at the Lambdaplex IO site, just kind of imagining, we've just gotten started with Lambdaplex. So I've already done one little market buy here, but let's do another one. This is the traditional swap idea. So I have this ETH token I'm going to associate to it. And now here's the critical step, right? There's the contract on testnet that needs my approval to actually do trades on behalf of my account when I sign an order intent. So that's the first step. I'm going to have to approve a large allowance to this contract that is not going to do anything unless I present another signed order. So let's say the first thing I want to do is buy some ETH. This account has 9,850 pretend US dollars. Let's say we want to buy $200 of ETH. So when I click buy ETH, I'm asked to sign a message. Okay, so I sign the message, and all that does is basically enter on the order book. You can see this order book here with sells on the top, bids on the bottom. So I put in a buy, and I said I want to buy $200 of ETH, and it matched with some bot account that's on here willing to sell ETH. So here we go. I purchased some ETH. If we look at the details, that's spelled out here, and you can follow over to the transactions on testnet that actually filled my buy. So for example, here, there's a contract call that you can see went to this settlement contract. This is our settlement contract that I just granted approvals to. So this contract saw my signed intent to buy ETH, and it ran through things and ended up like this child transfer that actually did the exchange, right? So I'm this account. I was debited 200 USDC. I was credited a little bit of ETH, and I can see that over here. So that is like the very traditional flow, right? But you might now be interested in saying, well, I want to buy ETH, but I actually want to buy it if it's cheaper. And that is a limit order. So you say, if the price drops 5%, let's buy another $500 of ETH. That seems like a better deal. So I can then put that order on the book, and now it's just sitting there at the price of 16.52. I'm willing to buy. So somewhere in here, I'm at the same level as a couple other orders. So I could then say I changed my mind. I don't like that. Let's cancel that. I didn't. Did I sign? 1 second. I may not have signed that. Let me try. Sometimes when I'm in a flow, I don't actually sign my orders. Let's try this. Okay. So let's buy $500. Okay, I did sign it. Okay. So that's the kind of thing you can do. We have a few pairs here.
And that will fill, so it doesn't have to sell all $500 or purchase all $500 at that price. It will partially fill that order as the price comes down to that level. Is that right?
Exactly. Let's see if we can actually get that to happen. Let's set a price that's just barely the best bid. So I see that the best bid on the book is $17.50. Got some latency here, I think, unfortunately, on our wallet to site connection. Sometimes that happens. Typically when that does happen, restarting Hashpack helps. Maybe I will just do that. See if we have any luck. Bum, bum, bum. All right, now it seems to hook back up. Let's see. So if we pick a price that is better than 1720 but worse than 1750, let's pick 1735, and then put 1,000 USDC. Now we should be asked to sign something here. Come on. Send me my message. Oh, there we go. Okay.
So I can see that's just populated there in the orders on the bottom of the screen, isn't it?
True. So here we are. We're 1735. Trying to sell 0.045 ETH. Okay. All right. I don't know if it's because I'm presenting. I've not noticed this quite as dramatic, but let's see what happens. We got some open orders. Maybe they'll fill. In the meantime, let's talk about one other item.
Yep.
Which is vaults. So a big aspect of any order book is how much liquidity is available. You want to have as much as possible bids and ask on both sides, bids and ask both available with close to some kind of oracle price, and then with enough liquidity you can buy or sell in decent sizes without a lot of slippage. So let's say the main solution with a AMM is, of course, the pair contract, where people deposit equal amounts of each asset, and then they get part of the swap fees, and they get also frequently LP tokens that they can farm. This is Hashback is not happy. So what we're trying to do here is have a similar concept of a vault contract, where you can deposit assets. So like I have some ETH now, I have some USDC, and I can deposit some of my ETH into this vault to help provide liquidity, assuming that I'm able to sign the transactions. It looks like we can. All right. Now it's working. Got our Hashgraph hooked up. So I've now made a tiny little deposit into this vault that has a very large amount of assets. So my performance is pretty negligible. I only put $112 into a vault with $2.5 million locked. I can now start earning rewards if this vault has reward campaigns. So right now it does have some airdrops going on, and I can see now in my portfolio, like I bought 111 shares of this vault. It looks like the ETH price is up a tiny amount since I bought it.
And is there any lock-in period for when you subscribe to a vault? Do you have to hold it for a week, or is it you can put money in and take money out whenever you like?
There is a 1-day lockup, simply because so if I do this again, when a market maker is using vault assets to provide liquidity on the book, so we're working with some professional market makers, if there's a lot of churn, it makes it harder for them to deploy strategies effectively. So not a crazy lockup, but just a 1 day so that people wouldn't be depositing, withdrawing instantly, right?
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. Let's see. So I've got some orders to look at. You can see the details of your orders here. And got some, looks like only our market buys have filled. Our limit orders are still sitting around.
And so in terms of a market order compared to a limit order, how does Hedera handle the settlement side of things?
Settlement is exactly the same. Everything boils down to one of these contract calls like we just looked at here. There's a broker account that's paying the fees on your behalf. So it's like a zero gas trade, basically. You don't pay any fees to Hedera to settle your trades on Lambdaplex. That's unlike an AMM swap. Again, if you want to do a swap, then you're the one who pays the gas fee to call the router contract and do the swap. But with this pattern, like this broker account is actually paying for all of the swaps. So some other bot just did a HBAR USDC swap, and here was another ETH USDC, another HBAR USDC. This broker account is actually paying all the fees.
So as a trader, your trading fees are incredibly low. I remember seeing sort of maker-taker fees were incredibly low, and by the broker account paying for the transactions, it brings the fees down even more for the end trader.
That's true. The goal is very much to have the most efficient platform for trading the assets we do list, at least at small notional values. So if I go look at like my orders, my fee tier right now is, we're going to have a promotional tier on when we go live on mainnet. But right now, this account's tier is 12 BPS maker, 25 BPS taker. We will have this promotional 0 maker, 20 BPS taker through August 19th.
And I saw there on that page where you were showing the current fees your account is paying. The more you trade, the more you save effectively. Isn't that right?
True. Right now, if this account has 150 volume, like we saw, we only actually settled 1 trade. If you have 5K volume, then you move to this fee tier and then up from there. We'll likely also add, when there's a Plex token available, we didn't want to put it on this site to potentially confuse people. But when the real Plex token is available on mainnet, people will be able to likely just get lower fees by holding some Plex token, something like that.
Incredible. And just to touch on the vaults a little bit more. So for a end user, what would be the benefit of using the vault? Is that to try and generate sort of a yield off of the fees of people using the platform by supplying liquidity? Or how would that be more attractive as opposed to placing trades with limit orders and things like that?
The idea is to earn airdrops. So if you have shares in a vault and there's an ongoing airdrop campaign, then over time you accumulate airdrops. You do have to, it's a week-long campaign for each airdrop sort of deposit. So you accumulate them linearly over time. I guess we may not see that live.
And so the airdrops, is that paid in HBAR, or is it in the tokens that you're supplying liquidity for?
That will primarily be Plex token. So it'll be the exchange token. I guess we did get to see one of our limit orders fill. A bot was generous enough to cross the spread, and now that's 36% filled.
Incredible.
One more trade. And yeah, so if you want, you can customize your account a little bit and say, pick a picture to be your, be your little display, and you could have a display name, and can register an email. If you want to get notified when trades fill, you can do that.
Up for the email side,
See if we get verification here. All right, so now I should get an email if my order fills. Not every partial fill, but just if this fully fills, then I should get a notification that it's been fully filled.
Awesome. And in terms of the assets or the pairs that you support at the minute, is it just ETH USDC, or are you supporting other pairs as well?
Our main goal for launch on mainnet will be HBAR USDC, wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH, and perhaps something like Dovu. And then the Plex token would also have a pair. So probably 4 or 5 pairs to start with. And then the big goal moving forward is ultimately to, as quickly as possible, give self-serve API keys. Because almost all the volume on every exchange comes from automated traders, right? Whether it's an arbitrage bot, someone who has a directional strategy, someone who wants to do their own market making, that's really what you need to unlock volume. And right now we're going to roll out a little slowly, just giving our professional market making partners API keys. But then the goal is, as quickly as possible, let's connect a different wallet here. I have an admin wallet in this environment. And let's verify it. You do have to prove that you own it fundamentally. But an admin right now can create a bot. And this is going to be, I think, the real thing. This is what really makes you honest to goodness exchange, is when you can let people say, create a bot account, right? And just do something. Where's my mnemonic? I had some mnemonic sitting around here. Grab one. Where's my mnemonics? Don't want to share something. Come on. Oh, yes. I can just use another key. 1 second. Yeah, let's grab a ECDSA key here. So we can say we're going to sign, we want to create a bot account with like this. Never mind. Won't demo that right now. It looks like I issue with bot accounts. The goal is certainly to, as quickly as possible, get to a point where we can just have self-serve bot API keys. And then when people can create their own bots, then you can really start to hopefully see a lot more activity.
And so the bots trading, would they have access to things like market orders, limit orders, as well as providing liquidity to a vault as well? Or just buying and selling?
Just buying and selling right now. So the API here is very similar to the Binance API. You basically got almost a copy paste of a subset of the Binance API, which should hopefully make it very easy for people to vibe code bots. It's just like a whole different world now, right? It used to be software was so hard to produce at all, whether good, bad, just getting anything working was so hard. With AI coding agents, now it's pretty easy to ship code. It may not be great, but certainly when you are able to give people an API that is going to be very familiar to the AIs, right? Binance is one of the oldest, biggest exchanges. So we hopefully give people an API that looks just like Binance. We actually have a Hummingbot connector. This is an open source trading platform that we've got, worked with that team to build a connector, and then just hopefully unlock, a lot of activity. Let's come back to our other, see if anything is filled.
We have had a question as well on X that I'll read out for you, Michael. Chris Zero has said, big question I can't work out in my mind for Hedera and clubs like this. The network is 2 to 3 second settlement. That's too slow compared to something like Hyperliquid. Am I missing something?
No, you're not missing anything. Settlement latency is somewhat less important than time from the latency from an order being placed to the order being on the book. That is somewhat more critical for most trading roles. But yeah, there's no way around it. The time to finality for especially a mainnet, any sort of mainnet, is going to be very slow compared to a centralized exchange. So Hyperliquid is gotten largely around that by co-locating all of the validators for their blockchain and building native services that implement everything you need. So no contracts, right? No off-chain interactions. Just everything is built into the L1. The L1 is high performance nodes co-located, and it has similar to a centralized exchange performance. So if you kind of play out some very happy scenario for Lambdaplex, ultimately we would definitely need to move to a Hashsphere. We would need to say, settling on mainnet is nice. There's lots of existing infrastructures. You can just click over to Hashscan. Here's your transaction, all the assets that wrap Bitcoin from layer 0 or HBAR, Circle USDC. Those assets are already on mainnet. A lot of the infrastructure is there, and now you just kind of build something on top. But if you want really competitive performance, you're absolutely right. You're going to have to do a custom Hashsphere. And then you're going to have to use Flipper to move the assets you want to trade onto that Hashsphere. You're going to need to build in native services. And there's just no way around it. So that's a great point. You said from Christopher?
Chris Zero from X. And he's got a follow-up question as well. He said, and is there escrow and settlement handshake through a central routing account, or a buyer's account just splits up the fees and settles?
There's no escrow at all. It's completely self-custody. So if you, let's see, which account did I connect with before? It's going to show that you will have some, this Hashpack is just not happy with us right now. You can never, demos are never that easy. Okay. If you will have, I don't know, here's a different account. I don't remember which one I just connected with first, but this one has 10,000 USDC. So if I do a limit order, so if I approve trading, let's say on this pair with this brand new wallet that we've randomly stumbled into, then I will right now have 10,000 USDC available to trade. Let's put a very conservative limit buy on HBAR. Let's say we'll buy HBAR when the price drops 5%. So we'll put this order on there. Now my available USDC has dropped to 9,900 because I've, in some sense, locked 100, saying I'm reserving that 100 to buy HBAR if the price drops 5%. Yeah. And that's totally sensible. But if I go to my Hashpack and I find this account, which is ending with 389, okay. So if I go to the 389 account and I look at its assets, it's still 10,000. I haven't escrowed anything here. It's just from the exchange's perspective, it knows, like from Lambdaplex's perspective, it knows you have this order open. It knows that to fill that, it needs 100 USDC. So from its perspective, it's only going to let you trade another 9,900. But in reality, you've retained custody. You could just send this away, and then there's some complicated monitoring we have to do with the Mara node to track whether you have basically pulled the collateral out from under our feet. Then we have to automatically cancel this order. It's all very complicated. But self-custody it's fully self-custody. So
incredible. And does that work through approving an allowance? So you approve the allowance to be spent, or how does that side of things work?
That is the critical thing. When I click that approve trading, so let's go over to this one. Associate, again, this approved trading is the key step. I am granting an allowance to a settlement contract to spend all of these assets for me. So that is the critical contract that we, of course, have audited, reviewed, spent any amount of time digging into, because you need that contract to truly have the behavior that it will only use its allowance for you if it has a signed approval from you saying, this is what I want to do. So let's go back and find where we're at. Where are we? Okay, here. No, we haven't filled anything. Let's do a market buy.
Yep.
So we can get a fill. Show you that contract one more time. Let's buy $100 of XRP if we can. Okay, so now we've filled this. Look at the details. It should show us a link. And this is a contract call to the settlement contract, right? So this contract, you can audit its source, but the behavior is that when someone says settle trade, the only way this will ever actually use any approval from any account that this contract has is if the signed orders that come in here are compatible with the proposed transfers. So there's some transfers. Someone says, I think that you should settle this trade using your approvals. And the reason I think you should do that is because here are some signed orders with details of exactly how those signatures are passed in. Yeah. So this contract is then going to use the is authorized system function to basically say, is it true that those accounts, if we go look at this, is authorized? It's going to check, is it true that those accounts have actually signed these orders that someone gave me? Like, anyone could have given me them, but is it true that the accounts involved in that trade, did they really sign those intents? If they did, and they gave this contract approval, then the contract simply uses its approval to settle the trade.
Awesome. We've had Chris has come back and has said, excellent answer. Hashsphere was all I could think of as an awesome solution longer term. This product is great. Block streams, ?
Block streams, yes, that will be a nice win on the latency. Just getting it down to something that's even a little nicer. So right now, when I do my market buys here, spend another 100 on XRP, you can see once I've signed this, it starts settling, spinning, and then takes a couple of seconds. That's basically because we have to wait for that settlement trade to reach consensus on testnet. Well, on testnet, C2C is extremely fast. So that's, I don't know, at most 700 milliseconds, something like that. On mainnet, that's more like right now 2 seconds, right? So that's with spinning, a thing would last longer. Your transaction would make it to mainnet. It would then get put in a block, and we would have to wait basically until that block has gone through the entire pipeline into Marinode's database, and we can see, oh, your transaction has officially reached finality. It's in a signed block. Let's now consider, it's guaranteed, it's settled. Global consensus has happened, it's there. But this will get faster with block nodes and block streams, that you can have a tier 2 block node that's just listening to things coming off the network almost in real time. Yep. And then we could carve this down to that spinning lasting, half as long, maybe.
Awesome. And I've got a follow-up question sort of in regards to how the orders are executed and settled. So on a Ethereum-based decentralized exchange, for example, miners and validators can reorder transactions to their advantage, sort of, I suppose, the MEV front running before a trade executes. How does Hedera change that? How does Hedera combat that? Is it an issue on Hedera?
That is a big difference. Because this is a permissioned network, and because the way Hashgraph consensus works, there is no risk of any trade intent being delayed from submission, put into a mempool, pull and shuffled around to the benefit of the validator that's submitting your transaction. All the nodes on mainnet are run by council members who have sterling reputations, and they are running code that is completely agnostic to the underlying, potential MEV exploits like miner extracted value. None of the council nodes have that kind of customization. They get a transaction, they're going to submit it, and then a very core property of the Hashgraph consensus algorithm is that it has fairness properties, right? So if you submit a transaction and before I do, then yours is going to reach consensus first. Modulus and maybe extreme outlier scenarios, but in all normal circumstances. I've been working on this project for 8 years, I think.
Yeah.
I've never seen fairness violated by any network I've ever submitted a transaction to. So in all practical purposes, unless there's some kind of quantum, I don't know, solar bit jiggling going on, the nodes will submit transactions fairly, ignoring any kind of MEV opportunities, and the Hashgraph algorithm guarantees that they will reach consensus in a fair order.
Awesome. Thanks for clarifying. And in terms of Lambdaplex, you said you're going live Friday. Is the plan?
That's the plan.
Awesome. And where do you see sort of decentralized exchanges on Hedera and on other chains progressing sort of over the next few years?
I would really hope to see a lot of real world assets getting transacted in a bunch of settings where different platforms can explore, different competitive takes on the same kind of product. I think this is the most interesting time it's ever been to be in software or cognitive labor in general, with our AI colleague is coming online with all kinds of superhuman or subhuman skill combinations. So I think there's going to be a lot of very interesting AI agent trading interactions. And I also think that things like prediction markets are interesting event contracts that are not about, say, gambling on sports, but say an event contract that is whether some feature will get added to an exchange. And then if people want to incentivize that issue being added, they can provide liquidity on an event market. And I think there's all kinds of things that are just going to be fascinating to watch with tokenized assets of all sorts and all kinds of venues with different approaches to trading. And it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you said there about AI, and would you want to see sort of AI agents trading on Lambdaplex as well?
Sure. Why not? The key thing is getting those bot accounts aggressively tested. That's the hard part. I mean, I'm not to underplay. Obviously, there's lots of hard parts in doing any sort of non-trivial software. But the hardest part for us is going to be letting people do self-serve API keys at scale. It's a bit of a lift. I'm optimistic we will get there pretty fast, but we're not launching with that out of the gate because that's challenging. But we'll get there soon enough. And then sure, have your AI agent trade for you. Just have it, have a DCA. This is not financial advice, but have a DCA some Bitcoin, right? This feels like a stupid time to buy Bitcoin, so it's probably a great time.
And so builders watching this stream today or watching it in the future, what should they know about Lambdaplex and how to build on it? You touched there on the API keys. I assume you have API docs, etc., available for developers?
Yes, these docs will not change dramatically. They will continue to look very much like Binance. And as soon as we are comfortable giving people API keys, we will start rolling that out. And I don't know, whatever, doing live streams, building bots together, whatever. That'll be the fun part, is getting the automated agents online. And that's where all the real volume comes from. Especially right now, I don't think there's that many people out there who just want to go click through, and buy some random asset. It's still something people do it, and it's nice to always make it better. But the fun stuff and the volume comes from the agents, algorithms.
Awesome. And there was a question, it slipped my mind, unfortunately, but in terms of the people that are watching today, what would be your call to action? Should they pre-register on Lambdaplex's website, or keep an eye out on your Twitter for an announcement of when you go live?
Well, I love anyone who finds bugs and reports them. This is just such a large project. There's going to be bugs. So we have a Discord that you could report, like, any issues you find on the testnet site. And then the big call to action is, if you've done any trading on Saucer Swap over the last year and a half, then when we go live on mainnet, go check and see if you have an airdrop waiting for you. This button will say check airdrop.
Awesome.
So you may very well have an airdrop waiting if you've done anything on Saucer Swap recently.
Awesome. And I think you said there that the testnet site is currently live, so people can go there today and play around with it on testnet?
Absolutely. You can go play around, do the same kinds of things that I was doing here. And I'll be, taking this down, and then we'll switch over to mainnet. I would say all of tomorrow, just assume it'll be offline. We don't have such a large team. We have multiple staging sites, and fundamentally, we're going to take this down from testnet. It's going to switch over to mainnet. Presumably, like, basically tomorrow, that'll be the game plan. And then on Friday, you can jump in, associate the real Lambdaplex token, and get an airdrop, or just try a transaction and tell us what went wrong, what worked, and I'll be grinding on this. This is just the first step of a long journey. So
awesome. Yeah, I'll be sure to sign up. I'm looking forward to playing around with it. And when you bring out the API keys, getting my own bot set up to lose me money. We've had a follow-up question from Chris again on X. He has said, will your control of token issuance be clean, organized, or are we going to see 30 versions of WBTC like other exchanges? Is it a DAO-based voting mechanism for listing?
I don't know if we'll ever try a DAO. I mean, DAOs are so hard to get right, and I don't know if we have the bandwidth to try to navigate that. Ultimately, you would like people to just be able to use the API to create their own pairs. That would be a little longer. Like, the only things that we'll be listing on the mainnet site will be the wrappers around the layer 0, wrap Bitcoin, wrap ETH, the real pack token. And then ultimately, if you have great API support, you could unlock people adding meme coins or whatever. That's also just hard. It's just really hard to build that, especially with a nights and weekends team. So I don't expect that to be imminent. The main thing is getting the API keys for the blue chip kind of pairs and additional features over time.
Awesome. It looks incredible, and I'm excited to give it a go. Hopefully at the end of this week, if all goes well. And we are slowly coming up to sort of the end of our time. Is there anything you'd like to point to? Is there anything else you want to discuss or run through or double click on for anyone watching today?
I think we've bounced around. We've hit some rough edges. I guess if things are not working, the default play is make sure Hashpack is up to date. Close it, open it. I do feel every time I demo, I get a little worse behavior from things, just because I'm sharing my screen. So I'm hoping, exactly. I'm hoping it's not gonna, the kinds of things where it took a while for a message to show up in the wallet, right? I'm hoping people don't experience that too much at home when they're not screen sharing on a live stream. But if you do experience it, then try, disconnecting, hashback, reconnecting, but also just let us know in the Discord, or you can ping me on X. I will definitely always try to fix things as soon as I can.
Awesome. And your Discord, is that listed on your website so people can see where to join the Discord?
It's this tiny little icon down here. Yeah, you just
Awesome. You got all your social links there that people can follow you on and join the conversation as well.
True.
Awesome. Well, Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm incredibly excited by this and looking forward to giving it a go myself.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Luke. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much. If there's any questions from the community, now's your chance. Put them in the chat and we'll pick them up. But if not, hop in Lambdaplex's Discord. They'll be more than happy to help you out and point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks very much. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The need for a more interconnected world is fueling new decentralized technologies and new ways of doing business. Hedera stands at the forefront of distributed ledgers, where every interaction is not only trusted, but fast, efficient, and secure. While traditional blockchains struggle with speed and fees, Hedera's network settles transactions in under 3 seconds for a fraction of a penny. And the proof is in the numbers. Hedera is uniquely governed by a council of the world's leading institutions, ensuring transparency, trust, and decentralization. It's no wonder Hedera is the leading choice for enterprise and DeFi use cases. Everything from real-world asset tokenization to AI data integrity. Discover the only decentralized network with the governance, scalability, and security to power the new digital economy. What future will you build?